My name is Sophia, and this is the second video I have made talking about my experience going through topical steroid withdrawal. I'm currently just about 15 weeks into topical steroid withdrawal and 10 weeks into no moisture treatment. And I wanted to give a second video to give a bit of an update on how my skin is doing, and also I wanted to talk about the things I'm doing to try and heal through this. As you can see, I'm having a pretty good skin day today. Like I said in the last video, symptoms of topical steroid withdrawal really don't show up well on camera, which is kind of nice for me because I teach private music lessons online, so I don't have to worry about how I look as much as I do in person. So I'm gonna put some photos to show how I'm actually looking today. You'll notice there's a lot more dryness and redness and scabbiness than you can see on the video, but I am having a pretty good day today. I'm starting to notice that my skin is going in cycles. Towards the end of February, I had a really bad flare for a couple weeks, and prior to that I had 2 weeks of really clear skin, which is when I made the last video. And then beginning of March I went through another 2 weeks of a really bad flare, and I'm kind of on the other side of that now and having a good week this week. So I know it's going to come back, but just trying to enjoy it as much as I can. I'm also going to post some photos of my arms and my legs and my stomach. My stomach is one of the spots I've been having the hardest time with. It's just always so raw, and it's really hard to keep it dry, especially if I'm sitting. I'm kind of leaned over, and when I'm teaching, it's really hard to keep my stomach dry. So I've been wearing crop tops a lot, either like actual crop tops or just cutting my comfy cotton t-shirts. That way when I'm teaching, I'm only shoulders up, and then I can kind of fan myself off and air myself out to keep dry. That's kind of a philosophy that's part of NMT, where you want to wear as light and as little clothing as possible so that your skin can dry out as much as it can. And then my arms as well, they don't look too bad until they get itchy, and then everything's dry and red and flaking and crazy. And same with my legs. Like in the mornings they look pretty good, and then I start getting itchy and they start looking not so good. I also have a lot of what they call elephant skin all over my body, which is just like extreme wrinkling. In terms of the other symptoms, I'm still really early into the process, so I'm experiencing everything. Extreme flaking, it's really gross, skin flakes are everywhere. And then the temperature regulation and stress control is still just really awful. I'm insanely itchy all the time, and everything's still burning and hurting, so there hasn't really been a change in terms of those symptoms. And same with sleeping. Sleeping is still really awful. Sometimes I don't sleep all night, sometimes I get 2 hours of sleep. If I get 4 hours of sleep, that's like amazing. So that's a little bit of an update of how my skin is doing, and now I wanted to talk about all the different things that I'm trying to heal my skin. And the first thing that I did just a couple days after starting this process was to go see a naturopath. And this is because regular doctors and dermatologists still aren't quite supportive of topical steroid withdrawal. A lot of people don't even believe it exists, which is pretty crazy to me. And if they do believe it exists, then people still think it's a lot more rare than it is. When I first started going through this, I decided to call my doctor, and he told me that with my usage, there's no way I could become addicted to steroids, which is not the truth. And he also told me that Protopic is not addictive at all and would not cause any withdrawal symptoms, which is not the truth either in my experience. The first few days of topical steroid withdrawal, my skin wasn't that bad, but I was just so depressed because I knew what was going to happen. I went from my doctor saying it doesn't exist to the naturopath a couple days later saying I was her third patient this week going through topical steroid withdrawal. So just having that affirmation and support was really helpful for me. The few things that I'm using that she recommended are a vitamin D pill, and this is sourced from mushrooms, because with vitamin D and vitamin B1 that I was using before, they can be sourced from cobalt, which I have a sensitivity to, and also from wool, which I also have a sensitivity to. So she found this vitamin D that's sourced from mushrooms just to eliminate any possible reactions. The other thing I'm taking is quercetin, which is supposed to really help with allergies and stuff, and then zinc, which really helps with healing. And then the other thing she suggested was plant sterols. This is pomegranate powder, and I use this in my smoothies every morning. I also tried a little bit of red light therapy with my naturopath, and I did find it helped. I found after I was less red and less itchy, but that's just something I didn't want to continue regularly because the price can really add up. Same with like cryotherapy or UVB therapy, or acupuncture. A lot of these things, I'm sure they would really, really help me, and I think I would really like them, but just going frequently enough that you actually get results can be pretty expensive. So I decided not to do those things. A couple other things that the naturopath suggested for sleep is melatonin, which is really common for sleep, and California poppy. I haven't really found these to be that helpful. I think the sleep problems are just so intense going through TSW that they're just not strong enough. So I've been using THC to help me fall asleep, and that seems to be working the best. I use a combination of THC capsules and oil. I live in Canada, so it's legal here, which is really nice because I don't know what I would have done to sleep prior to legalization. And then the only other thing that really helps me is Advil or Ibuprofen, because the itch in TSW is nerve related. It's not a histamine itch, so antihistamines don't work as well for the itch. It's all nerve pain, so taking Advil or Ibuprofen helps. I try not to take it too much because it can cause problems with your gut, and you need a really healthy gut for healing. So I'm trying not to take it too often, but on times where I'm really struggling, it helps so much. I also have to take it anytime I shower because I'm just in so much pain anytime I touch water, so I have to take Advil beforehand so that I can make it through without going into a panic attack. The second thing that I've been doing to help my healing journey is no moisture treatment. I'm about 10 weeks into that now, so I'm using no lotions, really limited showering. I've been showering and washing my hair every week and a half or so, and I have to wash my hair separate because I can't be in water for that long. And then I also limit my water intake. A lot of people doing NMT will track how much water they're consuming, both just drinking and through food. I haven't been tracking it, but I've been drinking way less than normal. A couple parts of NMT that I haven't really been able to do is avoiding heavy sweaters or blankets. With NMT, you're trying to avoid any moisturizers, and using like a heavy duvet is considered a moisturizer because it makes your skin really humid. But the other problem with TSW is that you're just so cold all the time because you don't have that temperature regulation. So I've been wearing sweaters and using probably heavier blankets than I should, just because the cold is too painful otherwise. Another thing with NMT that I haven't been strict about is the when to sleep. With NMT, it's encouraged that you sleep between 10 p.m. and 2 a.m., which is just impossible for me. I've tried and it doesn't work. Even before topical steroid withdrawal, my bedtime was 3 or 4 a.m. and I would sleep until 10 or 11 a.m. and I really like that sleep schedule. Both TSW, it's even worse because I just don't sleep at all. So the 10 p.m. sleeping time has not worked out for me, but you're supposed to get a lot of good healing during that time. So if you can do it, then definitely a good thing to do. And then the last part of NMT that I haven't been super strict about is exercise. You're supposed to do quite vigorous exercise for 30 minutes to an hour a day. And I just haven't been able to put myself through that yet. Anytime my body starts heating up, my skin just starts tingling and itching and burning, and then the sweat makes you itchier. So I just haven't been able to handle that mentally. So the only exercise I've been doing is going for really long walks a few times a week, trying to get outside, trying to get into the sun. And it's winter here in Canada, so it's freezing outside, which has actually been really great for the walks because it kind of just numbs my whole body, and then for the whole walk I don't itch and I don't hurt. But then coming inside, any temperature changes are really difficult, so coming inside after I'm always really itchy and in a lot of pain. A lot of people say that the sun helps their skin, but the heat is just so unbearable with TSW, so I don't really know how walking outside is going to work out in the spring and the summer. Hopefully it's great and the sun helps my skin, but we'll see. Another really big thing that I've been doing to help is the autoimmune protocol diet. The AIP diet is really nice because it's kind of like, for me, it's essentially like the keto I was doing plus fruit. So that gives me a little bit more variety and something sweet to have. But essentially with AIP, you're taking out all foods that cause inflammation. So no nightshades, which are like your peppers and eggplants and tomatoes, and then no grains or dairy. There's a whole list of stuff you can look up. I'm also vegetarian on top of that. I've been vegetarian pretty much my whole life. A lot of people tend to find that in the beginning stages of TSW, which is anywhere from a few months to a year, it doesn't really matter what you eat because your skin's just going to flare when it's going to flare. But people find that the further along you are in the process, the more diet seems to really help. So hopefully by getting started on a healthy diet early, I'm really setting my body up to heal as best as it can. And I'm hoping that between the diet and the NMT and the supplements that I'm really helping my healing. Prior to TSW and going through all of this, when I was keto and started getting those really bad rashes, I did a lot of allergy testing. I did the patch testing on my skin, and I also did a blood test to test for food sensitivities, and that came back with pretty much exactly what I thought it was going to. So wheat and gluten and dairy were huge ones. Also pea protein, that was one I didn't know, and I was eating a pea protein shake every day, and I think that was a big cause, as well as all the dairy I was eating while I was on keto. And then some other things came up too, like green tea and a whole bunch of nuts, and a few other things. So I've been avoiding those. I have cheat days where I just have to have pizza, so I do have cheat days to kind of keep positive, and it's a long journey, so you kind of need to do what you can to keep yourself on that train. That's how I justify it to myself anyway. And then just a few other random things that I've been doing to help. Ice packs are amazing. They're super, super helpful. I have one that fits my face, that's like a mask. I have one that covers my entire back, and they like mold to you. I change my clothes a lot because you can't shower very often. It's nice to have a few pairs of clothes on the go so you can switch out throughout the day and keep yourself dry, because your body just releases so much heat that going through TSW, you're kind of always moist, which sounds gross, and it feels even grosser. Like sometimes you get really sweaty, and other times it's not sweat, it's just moistness. Funny story about that, I fell asleep on the couch and I had my laptop sitting on my stomach while I was watching something, and my fiance Corey came out and found me asleep, so he went to move my laptop for me, and I was emitting so much heat that the bottom of my laptop, even though it was on top of my clothes and on top of a blanket, the bottom of my laptop was soaked, and Corey was actually afraid that I'd fried my laptop because I was just so humid. My naturopath also told me about the Eczema Company, which is a company that makes clothes for eczema, and I have a mask by them and a shirt by them. They're pretty pricey, but they are nice. It makes me feel a lot less humid. I find that it's really breathable, so I don't feel as wet when I wear it. And then they're also laced with zinc, so it stops infection. The other thing is that it's just so soft and comfy. It doesn't get bunchy, and it doesn't irritate my skin that way. I do sleep on the couch a lot just because I don't sleep very much, and I'm so fidgety and itchy all the time. That I alternate between sleeping on the couch and then sleeping in the bedroom with a heater on. We have a little space heater that I found really helpful because then I don't have to hide under so many blankets, because if I'm really, really cold and I hide under so many blankets, I'm just so humid that it creates a lot of moisture on my skin. But if I have the heater on, it kind of dries it out and makes me warm, so I don't have to hide under as many blankets, so I find that really helps. The last thing I wanted to talk about that's really helped me is having my nails done. I was reading online that people find that acrylic nails just don't break the skin nearly as much as real nails do. And with COVID and everything, I can't go get my nails done, so I've just been using fake nails, and I find that they still really help not break the skin as much. So I think that's all I have to say for this video. I do plan on making some more to go more into detail about NMT and the AIP diet, maybe talk about what I eat in a week because AIP can be kind of restrictive. If you have any other suggestions, please let me know in the comments. It's been so helpful watching everybody else's YouTube videos about TSW. It's really kept me positive, especially when you see people go through the whole process and you see them come out on the other side. And hopefully the more awareness we can bring and the more people who can talk about their story, the more it will put pressure on the medical community to re-examine their treatments for skin disorders and re-examine how they're prescribing these topical steroids and take it seriously, because TSW is just getting more and more common. The Facebook groups are growing exponentially. More and more people are going through this, which is a shame and awful and totally unfair. But hopefully more of it coming to light will help influence the medical community to take this seriously. Keep an eye out for more videos, and hopefully this was a little bit helpful to someone.